Welcome to our series here at the Minneapolis Foundation on the state of Minnesota nonprofits. Earlier this year, I had a conversation with Nanoko Sato, who is the head of the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, about the challenges facing the whole nonprofit sector. That initial conversation is on our YouTube page, the Minneapolis Foundation YouTube page. But we've been continuing that conversation in the months since by highlighting the work of a specific nonprofit each month. We hope that fund holders will gain a better understanding of how rapid changes are affecting organizations so that fund holders, you, can be equipped to make your giving more impactful in this moment. I'm Tom Weber, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Vanan Murugesan, who is the CEO of Sahan Journal, a nonprofit newsroom dedicated to covering immigrants and communities of color in Minnesota. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for the wonderful introduction and explanation of Sahan. You've done
There it is.
job already.
There it is. We're
Yeah,
ready to
thank you so
go.
much. Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting moment for news, for local journalism. We see what's happening with newspapers, both commercial. You're in nonprofit news. We saw news about big cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. That doesn't affect you directly, but in this kind of ethos, this ecosystem, where do you put nonprofit news and the work you're doing, and what are the challenges you're facing?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for the question. Big question. And let me just start by saying it's a lot. It's a lot if you are in a nonprofit newsroom right now, right? I think a lot of people, even though you're not in the industry, you can just gather this. It's been a challenging moment, especially challenging moment for the industry. Cuts of Yes, we don't get funding cuts, but we are getting some of our funding sources are being impacted by some of the changes that have happened in the last 6 months. So there is a side of the work where, when you start your week, you start your day, there's some like level of concern, right? But when you start your day, if you are in the newsroom, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of coverage to be done, even more so than back then. There's a lot of, if you are a journalist that is like high on adrenaline, this kind of news, there's a lot of good, important work that needs to be done. And I would say for Sahan Journal specifically, we are a nonprofit newsroom, and so we are impacted by some of the funding situations. But the need for our work is higher and greater than ever. And sometimes that's a bit of a cliche, but I think in this instance we can safely say that it's not one. Like every day we have a lot of important work to cover. So yeah, depending on when you ask, that's how we're feeling, right? Yeah, we continue to do good work. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about some of our work later down the road, but we're really excited to be where we're at right now.
So generally then, expound on that. How is your organization doing right now as an organization, as a place that you would like to keep open for business?
Okay, well, all right. If you don't mind, let me provide a little bit of context to your audience by talking a little bit about the immigrant population in Minnesota. So, 1 in 11 Minnesotans are immigrants. It's the fastest growing population in the state. I think the last 10 years they grew 3 times quicker than the state population growth. They contribute $15 billion to spending power, $2 billion in taxes. 1 in 7 workers are immigrants. So they are a key part of the of our state population, right? And I will say, in 2019 when Sahan was founded, there was a big gap in newsrooms that would cover things that impact our immigrant communities and communities of color. And that's why we started in 2019. And back then, the need was great. And what I will say right now, as we talked about a little bit, it has been greater. Our team is working really hard each day to bring our best selves to the work. I think you can imagine some of the coverage can be hard to cover, but we are committed to covering those types of issues. We've had a lot of work. I think people can imagine. Yes, we have increased our coverage around deportation issues, about immigration issues. But I will also say we are doing really, really good work on covering other parts that matter a lot to the immigrant communities. For example, let's not forget this is also the 50th anniversary, I'm sorry, of the Hmong people coming to the United States, right? That's a very, very important story to tell. And we did a really good job covering those 10 stories. The George Floyd murder that happened 5 years ago, that was an anniversary this year. We did a lot of work covering around those issues. And so what I would say how my team is facing like right now, I think that, I'm repeating myself here a little bit. Like there is an element of concern, but also excitement about the work ahead. So that's where the team is.
Yeah.
From a personal perspective, I'm a new leader within Sahan. Mukhtar Ibrahim founded the organization about 5 years ago. I came in, and so Sahan, from an organization perspective, it is growing out of its startup phase. So if your audience, and maybe I'm sure you are also aware, startups are exciting and whatnot. Yeah, ready to go. Every day is go go go, and then after a while we're like, whoa, we cannot continue with this pace. And so there's a little bit of additional scaffolding that me and my leadership team are putting to ensure that the organization is sustainable in the long term. Right, we are providing new strategic initiatives for the organization so that the team can continue to do the good work they've been doing for the last 5 years.
It occurs to me, especially with your organization, the way that you have built it, you as a leader and your leadership team have to worry about things like the budget and paying people and things like that. But it really does also occur to me that this is a stark example of an organization where the people in the organization are also, in many cases, immigrants.
Exactly.
Or they are, their family members.
Exactly.
May or may not be documented, for example. And so there are very personal and potentially really difficult things that they're dealing with just as people.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you navigate the budget, right? You got to stay open with all of those.
Yeah. I really appreciate that perspective, Tom. That's very insightful of you. Yeah, as leaders, so allow me to be a bit selfish here. You're absolutely right. We're always concerned about the budget and all that stuff, right? On a regular basis. But yes, we are in a unique moment in time where the people that work for Sahan are also impacted by the things that are surrounding them. So as a reporter, it's especially challenging to do your job the best way possible, and on some level putting some blinders temporarily around what's going on in your life so that you can do your job. And so and we are actually seeing that for a lot of reporters, especially as reporters who cover communities of color and immigrants. And so what Sahan is doing, and actually your audience might be interested in this, we are coming up with different workplace, if you want to call it, benefits or setups to provide a space mental health, a space where our reporters can take care of themselves, right? So for example, we've seen Sahan's, let me start by saying Sahan's benefits. Like we already provide our team with ample like sick and safe time. Like you've done a really tough story, you've taken up 2-3 weeks of your time, or maybe even more, 10 months. Like a recent story took 10 months to kind of fully explore and publish. We have it's more than PTO, but it's called sick and safe time, where our team member can take a couple of days off or even more just to recharge and whatnot. And so, and that's always been in Sahan's, the way we do our work. We've provided that kind of environment for our team. But now we are seeing where we need to provide, there's all these kinds of workshops, like trauma-informed care. And there are a lot of reporters out there. There are a few reporters out there that specialized in this, and they will come and give workshops to our staff to say, hey, these are some of the ways that you can recharge yourself. These are some of the ways that we can, that you can think about your work and not be so, be bogged down by it. We are expanding. We are hoping to expand our health coverage so that our reporters can actually get more therapy, um, of their own, of their own choosing, or even one that is particularly focused in the work that we're trying to do. And so these are some of the things that we're trying to work around to provide our team like some kind of respite
Yeah.
charge between, so that they can recharge before they get onto the next work.
Well, then, as we think, though, also about how people support nonprofit news,
Yeah.
including organizations like Sahan,
Mhm.
we've talked before actually about how people set their priorities
Yeah.
for giving,
Yes.
right? And where news can or sometimes does or doesn't fit into that. What do you reflect on that especially when you talk to people about the
Yeah.
importance of supporting that?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember having this conversation with you and some of your colleagues a while back, right? And I think this started, when I came into the industry, I did a quick research and I saw this table published last year that showed Americans giving, I think, tendency or propensity.
Hmm.
So the top three, I think it's pretty, food security is very important.
This is what people give to
Yeah, people
the
give to,
topics,
yes,
the
the topics
issues.
that they
Yeah.
give. Food security, their religious institution or their education institution. Americans have a love for their pets and animals, right? So those are like the top three. And I was like looking down the list, where is journalism, where's newsroom, and first of all, there wasn't a category. I think it was under civic engagement. It was like number 11. And so it's not just down there, but the gap between what they give up here and here. So I I I get that. I think it's not normal. It's not a normal thing for Americans to think that they need to donate to a newsroom. Newsroom has always been seen as a for-profit venture, right? So I'm not here to debate that. Uh, but I would like to offer a different perspective to your audience, if you don't mind, and to answer your question. So rambling a little bit, so feel free to add here. But I think I'll tell a story that I think will resonate with your audience. So, and I'll get there. So about a year and a half ago, there was this, in the Powderhorn neighborhood. There, it's a great neighborhood. A lot of people live there. A lot of people that I know live there, and there also happens to be a foundry, right smack in the middle of the neighborhood. So you live there, you love the place, love everything about being there, but people are sick, they're asthma, and there's just a lot of breathing issues here. And so our reporters who happen to live, one of our reporters happens to live there, and just did a story about that, right? Asking some questions and whatnot. Community picked up on it and they started asking more questions themselves. And so part of the story kind of empowered them to start asking tougher questions to their local representative. And so we continue to cover the stories. I think we did 16 or 17 stories. Couple of things that we learned, some folks were asleep on the wheel. And so there were a couple of things that the foundry was doing, actually a number of things that we're doing that was causing extra harm to the folks and to our environment, right? And so this enabled our news. We wouldn't take sole credit for it, but let's just say we started the ball rolling. I think that we can safely say that. And one conversation turned to two, turned to 16, turned to 20, and now officially, the foundry is closed and also demolished, right? So a major source of pollutant for this neighborhood community is now gone. So is that a newsroom story? Is that a local newsroom victory, or is it an environmental victory, right? And so when I think about journalism, when I think about news, what I think is that how I look at it is that we provide the strong, solid foundation that any society needs to have an elevated discourse about something that they care about. So if you care about education, if you care about the environment, and a lot of people, I care about environment too, right? If you care about healthcare, systems change need to happen when good policies are enacted. Good policies are enacted when politicians and legislatures are well informed. They are also moved into action when the population is activated, and they can be activated through good information. So in my head, there's a through line here, right? I hope I did a good enough job for your
Mhm.
audience to see this connection here. So, like, if you care about any of those issues, please continue to give to your local food shelf. Please continue to give to your right and all these things. But if you want lasting, meaningful action, then a portion of your dollars, of how you spend your time caring should be also to support local news, because we provide fair, local, accurate information so that your local reader can understand what's going on, and then, you know, be the change that they want to be in. So it goes a little bit into that story that about the foundry, right? And that story actually makes a lot of sense for someone who cares about the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually very impressed by that. Because I mean, there's a lot of people that live in South Minneapolis.
Mhm.
Environment does not care about borders. They will go beyond Powder Horn and they will seep into other parts of this part of the city. So that was a big win for the community. Big
Yeah.
win for the community. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I appreciate this insight,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you joining me here today. Anything else you want to add? Any final thoughts?
Um.
And it's okay if you don't. Just
Yeah. No. No. I think. I think what I would like to say is that I I've been in the nonprofit world for the last 10 years, right? And I've worked in a lot of different fields, and I've spoken to a lot of funders, and they are really they really care and they're passionate about everything, right? And however, we are sort of in a new environment, at least for me, because this is the first time where I'm seeing even the funders are impacted. So, in the past, needs are high, organizations need more money, but this is also one of the first time where funders were like, well, we are also concerned about our own future, right? And so I understand that. I think it's a tough moment for a lot of us, but I do ask anyone who cares about the future of Minnesota, the future of the Twin Cities, is to be courageous in what is it that we want to see. Like now is the time to take the extra risks out there so that we can continue to keep Minnesota, Minneapolis, or the Twin Cities the way that we want it to be. So it does require all of us to kind of be courageous in this moment. So
Vanan Murugesan from Sahan Journal. Thanks so much for being here today.
no problem.
Really
Thanks for having me.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
This topic of journalism and local news is also going to be part of an event that the Minneapolis Foundation is hosting on October 8th. It's called the Minnesota Meeting, and this year's Minnesota Meeting is called Next in News. We are going to discuss some of the challenges we've been talking about here, about the local news ecosystem and journalism, and we would love for you to be in there. So if you're watching here on YouTube or on social media, we will put a link. Please go to that link, sign up, come to the Minnesota meeting on October 8th, and we can't wait to see you. We also invite our fund holders to connect directly with their philanthropic advisors if you have further questions about this organization or organizations doing journalism throughout Minnesota. We're excited to work with you to find a plan for giving that works best for you. Thanks so much for joining us.